Government restructuring means different things to different people, but bottom line to you, the taxpayer, it should be a question of, is there a more efficient way to do it? And I start by telling you that one model is not always the best model. There's some up here who say, just put it in the cabinet, just centralize it. Well, does that always bring savings? No, it does not. We had to go the opposite direction, for instance, with the State Ports Authority, where we made it run more like a business rather than a political network. The result was we've gotten more efficient things, the port is growing again, and we're on a positive track. On the other hand, there are cabinet agencies that don't always meet what I call the most efficient standard. DSS is a good example. Though it's a cabinet, we've been being fined by the federal government for failure to comply with federal guidelines. Now, all that having been said, we got other agencies that are not in the cabinet that have not met the test, like the Employment Security Commission, that was more under the legislature than it was under the governor. What's important here is that one model doesn't fit everything. So the result is, what has been great is the way the General Assembly has said, we're going to take the best of the cabinet system, we're going to take the best of merit selection, and we're going to try to minimize some of the political rewards in this, and instead gear these reforms to the public based on merit. Employment Security Commission is a good example of that. Technically, that's open to any person to apply for that position. Then there's a committee that's got to examine those candidates, not from the standpoint of do they have good political connections to the governor, but instead, are they the most qualified to serve? And then they'll offer up those nominations to the governor, and he can pick from the most qualified. So what we have in restructuring is an opportunity to say, is what we're doing working? Is there a more efficient way to do it? And I call it the 20th century approach to the model of government. How do we create a line of accountability, and how do we inject more merit into the system and less politics? And that comes by enhancing merit selection, and then backing that up by having that oversight committee go back each year and ask that person who gets that job, what have you done with that agency? Have you saved the taxpayers money? Have you carried out the mission? Are you being fined? Are the funds solvent? In that way, we don't end up with government by emergency, and that is when it breaks down, everybody stampedes in to make a quick reform. The key is to catch these problems early and to build the sorts of warnings in place so that we can make course alterations. That's how you create efficient government. And lastly, you turn on the lights and make sure that this process is open so that the media and the public can learn what's going on, who's making decisions, rather than being made in the closed confines of somebody's office who may have appointed somebody. I think restructuring is an opportunity to think outside the box and to look for new models, and that's what we're looking for. The worst thing we could do is try to make Columbia, South Carolina look like Washington, D.C.